Somebody who's been, I couldn't be a harsher critic of the CCP, the Chinese government. Anyone who thinks that Chinese Australians have anything to do with the coronavirus is a moron, okay? But interestingly, there's a bit of newspaper coverage today in the Channel 9 papers suggesting, of course, Chinese Australians not to blame for the actions of the CCP. Yes, we know, okay? But remember, the Lowy Institute, when talking about all of this, said that 1 in 5 Chinese Australians had been physically threatened or attacked in the past year. Over a third of the people surveyed claimed that they were treated differently because of their Chinese heritage. But the same poll showed that 70% of Chinese Australians felt accepted by Australian society, and almost 8 in 10 said that Australia was a good place to live. Rita, so how does this work? Apparently, simultaneously, racism around every corner, but we love living here. We all know the difference between the citizenry and the government. What exactly is the message you're trying to send us via the 9 paper today?
Yeah, I'd like to see how that poll was put together. I'd like to see the questions. I would like to see the methodology. I'm not accepting those results at face value because, frankly, they seem like absolute and utter nonsense. Australians know very well that most people of Chinese descent who are here have got absolutely nothing to do with the Chinese communist regime. And in fact, the biggest victims of the Chinese communist regime are Chinese people. They're the ones who get locked up if they say anything against their government. They're the ones who don't have the freedom to say what they want, to follow the religion they want. They're the ones who are oppressed most by the Chinese communist regime. So they're victims, and I think most Australians can distinguish between the regime and the individual.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, we all know how this works here. There's not an awful lot of people who are choosing to claim refugee status from Australia in China. Instead, it's very much the other way around, to the tune of thousands of people every year.
Well, mate, I've got to say, I'm not somebody who really supports totalitarian governments, and that includes in the CCP. But, you know, Chinese Australians, as we know, have played an incredibly important role in Australia for the last 200 years. And, you know, I just sort of like take a bit of an issue with people that say that we're more racist in Australia or not. You know, I think we're actually just like everybody else. We've got a bit of sometimes we can have a bit of a problem. Sometimes we can be a bit racist, and some people aren't racist at all. It's like every other community in the world. It's like what happens in whether you go to Japan or you go to North America or you go to Europe. That's what happens. People turn around and have some differences and they have some arguments. But what we should be striving to do is to make sure that the Chinese community in this country, along with all of communities, that we actually get on together. I'm a strong believer in multiculturalism. I think people should be able to turn around and pray for who they want, be who they want to be, all within reason to make sure the community is properly safe. And I think Chinese Australians really need to make sure that they know that people out there, like all of us on the show, that we're on your side because you're Australian and you happen to be from China. And that doesn't mean that you're a lesser person than the person standing next to you or the guy that's about to put his hand out and shake your hand.
Yeah, bloody oath. Now, as we know...
And you know what?
Go, Rita.
I was just going to say one thing, because one of the things that makes the Chinese and Asian people in general so successful around the world, we were talking about Chinese people, whether we're talking about Indian people, Japanese people, is that they don't embrace this victimhood persona. They don't try to play the victim. They just have a great work ethic. They care about education, and they emigrate to a country, and within a very short time they're established and got financial security, and their kids are doing brilliantly. So I just resent this victimhood mentality being pushed on people who are not who've rejected it for decades. Just leave that for others. No, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Do appreciate it.
And I say that as someone of Iranian descent.
Bloody oath, our Persian princess. We love you. Thank you very much. To you, you'll see you, of course, on Outsiders, and we'll see you in the Parliament there.